Before we fix the issue with JSON serialization, we need to look at our architecture first. These domain classes that we have created, like make and model, they are internals of our application. We refer to these as implementation detail. We don't want to expose the implementation details outside our application boundary because the implementation can change, and this would break any clients dependent upon our implementation. Instead, we need a separate layer of classes at our application boundary, and we refer to these classes as the public contract or the public interface of our application. And by interface, I'm not talking about C# interfaces. I'm talking about interfaces as a concept. Let me give you a metaphor. Think of a DVD player. A DVD player has a logic board with a bunch of transistors and ICs that we don't see. These are the implementation detail. What we see are the buttons on the front, and this is what we call the public contract or the public interface of a DVD player. Now here's the important thing. The manufacturer may change the internal implementation, and this will not impact us as long as these front buttons stay there. We have the exact same concept in software. So we don't want to expose our make and model classes outside our application boundary. We don't want to serialize them and send them over the wire to the client. Instead, we need a different set of classes that look similar to our domain classes, but they can change and evolve independently. These classes will be at our application boundary, and our controllers are going to take them as the input and serialize them as their output. In the REST terminology, we refer to the objects that a client requests from the server as resources. So here, inside controllers folder, I'm going to add a new folder called resources. Then I'm going to add another class, make resource. Now I'm going to go in the make class and simply copy all these properties and the constructor and paste it into our new class. Now let's change the constructor name, make resource, import the namespaces, and remove data annotations. We don't need data annotations here yet. So far, this make resource looks exactly like our make class. Now the next step is the interesting part. So once again, I'm going to create a new class here, call it model resource, and then go to the model class, copy all the properties here, and paste it into our model resource. Now, starting from the top, I'm going to delete data annotations, and I'm also going to remove the inverse relationship to the make class. This is the relationship that is causing a loop. We don't want a loop in our JSON objects. So delete, save, and finally in make resource, I'm going to change this to model resource. Model resource. So now we need to map our domain classes into our resources, and that's the topic for the next lecture.